3 of the fantasy football season. He has a few tight ends I would look to start this week. The first guy is Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Dallas Goedert so far, nothing amazing in the first 2 weeks of the season. Week 1 in Atlanta, 4 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. And last week versus San Francisco, 2 catches, 24 yards. So right here, week 3, he's got a great matchup at the Dallas Cowboys, where I'm recommended a lot of Philadelphia Eagles in this ball game here at the Cowboys. So Dallas Goedert, we know he's a good tight end. We know he's the number 1 tight end over there, no doubt about it, especially with Zach Ertz going on over the list here for a couple weeks now. And Goddard in this game, he's going to be a big target for Philly. He's going to be a guy in the middle of the field working. And in this game, I think he gets 40 or 50 yards and finds the end zone. And put him in your lineup this week. The next tight end I will look to start this week is Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Rob Gronkowski, in most fantasy drafts, he was an afterthought for some managers after the slow start and the mediocre season he had last year. But right now, he's in mid-season form, and he's the Gronk of 3 or 4 seasons ago here. That year off definitely helped him rejuvenate his body, get his mind right, and now he's having fun with Tom Terrific and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning the championship last season and getting off to a huge start the first 2 games of the season. Week 1 versus Dallas, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. And week 2 versus Atlanta, 4 catches, 39 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This week here in week 3, a little bit of a tougher matchup at the Los Angeles Rams. But what a ball game that's going to be, in my opinion, between these 2 great teams and 2 NFC favorites most likely this season here. So Gronk, he's not going to score 2 touchdowns every week. But this week, I think he does find the end zone once again with 30 or 40 yards. And this guy pretty much each and every week is a must-start tight end. He's unguardable. He's in mid-season form, like I mentioned. And him and Tom are on a different level, pairing up together this season. The third tight end I would start this week's Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. So Tonyan, he put in a stinker in week 1 versus the New Orleans Saints with 2 catches for 8 yards. But week 2 versus Detroit, it was more the type of Tonyan we saw last season. 3 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. And week 3 here at San Francisco, pretty good matchup. Aaron Rodgers, he crushed Tonyan, especially in the red zone. We saw him get a few targets over there and make that touchdown catch, obviously. So right here, it's at San Francisco. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game from both teams. And Aaron Rodgers, he wants to prove the haters wrong, and he obviously said it in his press conference after a good victory versus the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. But right here, Robert Tonyan, he's a matchup nightmare. He's a guy that could get open, and he's a favorite target and a trustworthy target of Rodgers. So right here this week, I think 30, 40 yards probably, and possibly finding the end zone. I think this is going to be a shootout at San Francisco, and they want to get this big victory here is Green Bay. And they're going to throw the football a lot. They always do, no matter what. So right here, start Tonyan. The next tight end I would start this week's Kyle Pitts in the Falcons. So Kyle Pitts last week, he had a better game than in week 1. At Tampa, 5 catches, 73 yards. And in week 1, he was invisible, 4 catches, 31 yards. But this week, a good matchup here for the Atlanta Falcons at the New York Giants. And this game, this definitely could be a highway shootout versus these 2 teams, in my opinion. Both teams really don't play defense. And both teams are very desperate for a victory this week here, starting the season at 0-2. So whoever goes to 0-3, it's very tough to get out of that 0-3 hole and obviously make the playoffs. So right here, Kyle Pitts, he's a matchup nightmare. And in my opinion, the Giants, they don't have the linebackers or even the safeties that can match up with this kid. This kid was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft for a reason. He's a playmaker. And already so far in the first 2 weeks of the season, 14 targets. And it's going to keep going up, in my opinion, here. The more games the Falcons play, and the more games they're going to be trailing, because obviously they're missing Julio Jones this season here after he got traded to Tennessee, and Kyle Pitts has to be that big man to step up for this team. And this week, a perfect matchup. And this week, I think he gets his first touchdown in his NFL career. And the 5th and final tight end I will look to start is Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos. So Noah Fant, so far the first 2 weeks of the season, he's put in good work here for PPR fantasy owners. Week 1 at the Giants, 6 catches, 62 yards. And week 2 at Jacksonville, 4 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. In week 3 here, another great matchup for him and this Bronco team versus the New York Jets. The Jets, they're a better defensive team than the first 2 teams he versed in, the Giants and Jacksonville. But right here, Noah Fant, he's going out there, he's making plays, he's getting open, and he's a player you should have confidence in after a good first 2 weeks of the season to put in your starting lineup. And I think he provides another good game here versus the New York Jets with 40 or 50 yards and possibly finding the end zone. So that's a few tight ends I look to start here in week 3 of the fantasy football season.